Hi, everyone, and welcome to our interactive case study on securing schools with AI video analytics. I'm Sarah from Claro Enterprise Solutions, and I'll be your host today. A big thank you to all of you for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here. We have some exciting guests lined up and a great conversation planned. Before we dive in, let's just take a quick minute to cover a few housekeeping items. All attendees will remain muted for the duration of the session. However, we do encourage you to ask your questions as we go. So feel free to type those directly into the chat box or the Q&A feature on your Zoom toolbar, and I'll be monitoring those throughout, and we'll dedicate some time at the end of the session for some Q&A. Everyone who's registered and or attended today's session, you will receive a link to the recording following the webinar. So in case you want to revisit it or share it with some colleagues, you can be on the lookout for that tomorrow afternoon. All right, so now on to the exciting part. Today's session is all about using AI to enhance school safety and security. We're going to be addressing the unique challenges that schools face in ensuring a safe learning environment and hear from one school administrator on his school's journey from traditional safety practices to the implementation of AI video analytics. Our special guest of the hour is Dr. Wayne Porter. Dr. Porter is the headmaster and superintendent of Tempe Preparatory Academy, one of the original charter schools in Arizona. He holds a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Brigham Young University and a master's and PhD degree in mathematics education from Arizona State University. Wayne began his education career teaching mathematics at Chandler Preparatory Academy, where he eventually became the middle school headmaster. After 10 years with Chandler Prep, Wayne joined Tempe Preparatory Academy, where he has now worked for the past 9 years. We're also fortunate to have David Lee on the call. David is the visionary founder and CEO of Iveda, founded in 2003 with the goal of transforming the video surveillance industry with the introduction of the cloud. For over 2 decades now, Iveda has been at the forefront of real-time cloud video surveillance and digital transformation for cities worldwide. As a global leader in AI and IoT platform, David Lee's mission with Iveda is to make innovative technology accessible for service providers worldwide. As of 2024, Iveda is proud to be partnered with providers, including Claro Enterprise Solutions, to distribute their innovative solutions in 19 countries and counting. And last but not least, we have Patrick Verdugo from Claro Enterprise Solutions, who will be guiding us through today's session. Patrick is the Director of IoT Product Management here, and as an AI and IoT subject matter expert with over 30 years of experience in technology, with a focus on IoT for the past 15 years and AI for the last 4 years. He's developed commercial AI and IoT solutions, and prior to joining Claro, Patrick worked for IBM Corporation as a worldwide IoT solutions architect and has provided solutions to customers across the globe. So without further ado, let's get started. And Patrick, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. So just a little bit about Claro Enterprise Solutions. We're basically a single source IT solutions provider for organizations of all sizes. We independently identify, implement, and manage technical solutions to help you. We can strengthen your security. We can increase your productivity. We can optimize your performance. We have cybersecurity, cloud, IoT, and managed services. We are a division of a large Latin American conglomerate called América Móvil. And we can go to the next slide if you like, please. We are very, very focused on school safety vulnerabilities. Obviously, these statistics speak for themselves. They are unpleasant, to say the least. We fear for the children's safety. We want to give parents a sense of comfort that we're doing everything we possibly can. Unfortunately, the statistics are not very positive. And what we try to do is elevate situational awareness, give school administrators and schools time to react, and we can include in those situations that we analyze using artificial intelligence, things like smoke and fire detection, more importantly, weapons detections, as well as intrusion detection, as well as a few other things that the technology can also do to help enhance the safety of the students and enhance the safety of the staff. Next one. So we are focused on increasing security and efficiency for students, teachers, and administrators. What we want to do is do detection. We want to do real-time alerts. So we generate alerts. We send those alerts to a mobile application that can be carried by security staff or by any staff in the school. We can also integrate with alarm systems, and we can affect things like school lockdowns. We can also notify police or notify the fire department, depending on the type of alert that we have sensed. We can monitor situations like overcrowding. When a bunch of high school students get together, usually, and if they really crowd, usually there's going to be a fight. Not a very nice thing. So we want to try to keep an eye on things and be able to generate those alerts very quickly and very effectively. We can also do forensic searching for missing persons using simple attributes. We can search for persons. We can search for objects. We can search for vehicles, which further aids the security concern. We can also count people coming in and going out. The challenges we address is the slow incident response time due to the fact that when you have a lot of video surveillance monitors, no one person can actually keep an eye on every single camera every moment of the day. So one of the things we do is we put the AI to work, and the AI can keep track of and detect conditions. So for example, for a front access, we want to make sure that we catch vehicles, objects, or people that are behaving in certain ways or potentially carrying a weapon as quickly as possible and generate the necessary alerts. We're always concerned about accidents or injuries on campus. So we obviously can also detect things like fall detection and fire and smoke detection. Fire and smoke detection may sound trivial, but actually, because we have fire and smoke detectors in the building, you can't put those outdoors. And we've caught things like dumpsters on fire, vehicles on fire, even kids, middle school and lower grades, kids playing with fire during recess. So it can be an important thing to do. So the inability to effectively monitor all entry-exit points, parking areas, or buildings due to limited staff can be averted and can be improved by leveraging artificial intelligence. So we can do things like intrusion detection. We don't want people entering the school during school hours through side doors or back doors, and that's called intrusion detection. We can detect license plates and do face recognition. So if we have a parent that is maybe under a restraining order, not allowed to check kids out of school, we can generate the appropriate alerts to staff. Don't release the kids to this particular person, as an example. Or recognize a disgruntled employee coming back into the facility. We don't want them, they've caused problems. Loitering is another issue. Managing large crowds when there's a significant school event is another issue that security staff are always concerned with. So people counting, crowd monitoring, parking detection. This is a quick demonstration of our weapons detection technology at work. What you'll see on the upper right-hand side as this young man enters the frame, he's carrying a weapon. We just generated the first alert, and we're going to generate a second alert. We saw him twice during that period of time. Here he's going around the back of the building, across some obstacles into the well-lit area. We're going to catch that weapon and generate yet another alert. As he traverses the campus, getting closer, gets in through a door, going into a stairwell, and as he goes up the staircase, we are once again going to detect that weapon and generate the corresponding alert as he turns the corner. You'll see it come up on the right side on the top. Here he's going to go through an area that's poorly lit and you can barely see the weapon, but we catch him anyway. And obviously here, where it's well lit inside the building, we are going to catch him again. So each one of those instances represents a weapons alert generated by the fact that the AI can clearly and concisely see and detect the weapon. In the next slide, we're going to quickly see that the key applications for a school campus are weapons detection, and we can do that, detect a visible weapon within 3 seconds and generate the alerts to all the people that need to know. We can do facial recognition, anonymously preserving personal information. We comply with personal information regulations in the US and even in the state of California, where they're more restrictive than in the general US, as well as in Europe with GDPR, which is even more restrictive. So we can preserve personal information, but still do face recognition and generate the corresponding alerts. Fire and smoke, it's always important, receive the alerts, and we can even integrate with, using an API, integrate with the alarm system to call the fire department. And as I mentioned before, our video search technology is very, very fast and very, very accurate. You can search for a person, an object, or a vehicle on a 5-day, 120-hour recording from multiple cameras, receive results in less than 2 seconds, which is 4,500 times faster than a manual search. This can be very useful when you have to go back and look at the recordings. Sarah?
Yep, so now Patrick is going to chat with Dr. Porter here, our special guest, about some of the use cases that they're using at their school and how they have been leveraging AI video analytics.
So, Dr. Porter, when you first were exposed to the AI video analytics technology, what were the drivers or what were the things that drove you to look at it and potentially consider it to add safety and security to your school?
Well, first, I want to thank you for the opportunity to participate in this. I love talking about students and staff safety, and I'm a big proponent of this artificial intelligence. So I'm the headmaster of a small school on a small campus in Tempe, surrounded by parks, schools, churches. But in 2018, your slide talked about the increase from 2020 on of school shootings, but in 2018, that was the worst year for school shootings. And here I sit on a small campus that was an outdoor campus. We're in Arizona, so we're not an indoor building. Students transition from building to building, and our campus is wide open. Anyone could come on at any time. So our concern was, how do we monitor or keep our students and staff safe on a campus that is so wide open? And as a small school, and as many schools find, finances are a big issue for us, and hiring a person to wander around the campus as a resource officer or something really wasn't feasible for us to do. So we were really looking for a way to secure our campus. And we'd already put in some cameras on the campus, mainly for us to be able to monitor or go back and look to see if students had incidents. We could go back and see what happened. So when AI was presented to us, it was such a great option because it tied right into the cameras we already had. And so the transition was very, very simple. And so we went from basically having, teachers monitoring campus as they walk around to having full-time 24-hour visualization of the campus through cameras and an AI system.
I want to stress that one point you made, Dr. Porter, and that is your existing video surveillance infrastructure. This can add artificial intelligence pretty much to any existing video surveillance infrastructure. You don't need to buy new fancy cameras. You don't need to change what you have. We integrate with nearly everything. We have yet to run into something that we have any issues with. And that is one of the undoubtedly factors that are used to make a decision, because you don't have to make these big significant capital investments.
Exactly. And I want to emphasize one of the points from one of your prior slides where it said that 44% of parents are really concerned about their student safety. And even here on a small campus in what I would consider a relatively safe area, in a survey we did with our parents, that was one of the three big issues that parents had, was they wanted more and improved security on our campus.
So does it address the challenges in an effective way for you?
Definitely. So as I said, if we were to have hired a resource officer, one person to walk around, even on a small campus like ours, that person can only be in one place at any given time. The nice thing about the AI and the cameras is I have something that is watching all the cameras at all times. So it has many eyes on campus. It never blinks. It never turns away. So it catches everything that's going on, and especially those alerts that we've said, hey, these are the things that we're most concerned about. And we don't have to, as you said, we don't have to have anyone sitting watching monitors like you see on the movies with a big building where you got someone with all these screens they're watching. We have the AI system watching for us, and then it alerts me through my app on my phone if it thinks it's detected any of those incidents that we are looking out for. So yeah, it's been great. I mean, thank goodness we have not had any incident that has resulted in something real or tragic. But even for a small campus, it's just that peace of mind of having this extra layer of security that is running in the background that is helping us. And I can only imagine, not having been an administrator at a large school, that this is something that would even be more applicable and more needed at bigger schools where there's even less ability to monitor the campus and more students that potentially could be having issues, or more places and ways for an intruder to come in, or something to cause concern for the safety of staff and students.
So one of the advantages of that mobile app is it runs on either iOS or Android, so you don't have to have a specific kind of phone. The second thing is you can designate who gets what kind of an alert. So maybe some people should be on the weapons detection alert list, and some people should be on the fire and smoke detection list. So you can segregate, or you can have everybody be on all the lists. That's entirely up to you. And the other really great benefit is it works by issuing a push notification message. So it comes on the front of your phone. You tap it, it opens the application. It shows you where the detection took place, and you can even click an icon that shows you the live view of that camera. So if you're across campus and this happened on the other side of campus, you can see what's going on live if you need to. Again, it depends on whether it's a security person or it's a staff member, or it's a teacher, whatever it is, you can actually see what the results are. So I think that's a very useful way of generating these alerts. Have you used the licensing transfer capability at all? The ability to move a license from one camera to another?
Well, yeah, I mean, we designate which cameras are on the system, and we can adjust those as needed. So if that's the question you're asking,
yes,
we have the ability to say, hey, which cameras do we want monitored most? So a backstage of the auditorium, entrance points to the campus, the parking lot. So yeah, we have done that, and it's a process of figuring out and fiddling around and saying, which cameras are the most important. And yeah, it's a very simple transition. It's very easy to make changes to this and say, hey, I'd rather have this one monitored or this one monitored.
I think one of the advantages is the fact that you don't have to license every single camera. Yeah. You only license the cameras that you need, and only for the concerns that you want to protect from. So, for example, cameras that are facing the open campus are the ones that are keeping an eye for weapons detection. So you license what you need, and you only license the cameras that you want. And I think that's one thing that makes us a little bit different from some of the other providers. Do you have an idea of what the benefit or what the return on investment has been to the school itself as a result of having this technology?
Yeah, I think it's a little cliche for me to say this, but it's true. You can't put any price on human life. However, being realistic and knowing that we're all dealing with budgets, and especially in education, and depending on where you're at, some states more so than other, the limited funds that come, that does put a restriction on what you can do. So you want to provide the most security you can while also making it feasible for the school to do. And when we were presented with this as an option, the cost of it was, I would say, I mean, the cost of it would be 1/6, 1/7 of the cost of hiring a human being and having them walking around every year. Yet, like I said, the coverage of the campus is so much greater. So return on investment hasn't panned out as far as we've avoided necessarily some big catastrophe, because thank goodness we have not had that. But the peace of mind that it also provides, you can't put a price. Parents want safety, and we let the parents know in the background, we have this running. We've done certain things to our campus since we originally got this and have secured our campus more. But we're always sure to point out that we also have this extra layer of protection. And that peace of mind for parents, once again, is a return on investment, because we're investing in their peace of mind. We're investing in all of our and our students' safety here on campus. So, I mean, there is no better return on investment, in my opinion, than doing this type of security, because of the cost and the benefit. I mean, the cost benefit is just incredible.
By the way, I was just curious, have you used the technology at all, for example, for cell phone use monitoring?
You know, we haven't, although well, I just actually did that just recently, just a month or so ago at the end of school. We have fairly strict rules on cell phone use on our campus, and so we don't have a huge problem. But yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day, and I thought, you know, it might be interesting to see, well, how many kids are actually complying with this rule when no adult is around. And, you know, while that's less of a physical threat, cell phone usage and you know, social media bullying, things like that is something we just don't want our students to be involved with when they're here on campus. So I think that's something that we'll certainly do more in this coming school year.
Yeah, we have experienced with some of the other schools that are using it, where they will just go search for cell phones, and the system will show you every single student that's got a cell phone in their hand when they're using it. And it can be a pretty powerful to try to deter the use of cell phones. So just mentioning it because it's kind of like a side benefit of the technology.
Yeah, and I would go back to another one of your slides where you said that the results come in less than 2 seconds. I was actually surprised to see 2 seconds. When I go in and do some type of a search for something like that, apart from the app that I have that alerts me, if I say, hey, I want to go in and see what were the uses of cell phone on campus, if I put that in, I mean, it is literally a fraction, a small, very small fraction of a second, and I could get up to thousands of hits on that.
Yeah.
And so it is very, very quick to get results.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of the capabilities and a lot of the function and a lot of the benefits. I think we can move to the next slide. So I want to just briefly go over the use cases. We mentioned some of them already, like visible weapons detection. We detect handguns, shotguns, rifles, assault rifles, machine guns, and also machetes and large knives. We can also use facial recognition for access control, license plate recognition. If you have a closed parking lot that has access control, we can integrate with that. Perimeter protection, we have some large schools that have really big perimeters, and we can use that for intrusion detection. For parking enforcement, always there's areas where you don't want vehicles parking and you don't want vehicles traversing. No driving areas, no parking areas. Of course, persons of interest, the ability to detect. And one thing to note here is while we can do the face recognition, if there are other people in the frame that has actually captured that person that we're looking for, that suspicious person, we block out or blur in order to protect the personal information of anyone else detected in that view. Obviously, I mentioned parents under restraining orders, suspended students coming back on campus. Those are examples of persons of interest. We can do incident detection. You can combine vehicle with face recognition or visible weapon. From an administrative perspective, we've seen some creative use for even things like attendance or test identification. You know, you have a substitute teacher having to essentially take the test for high school students, and they don't know the students. So anyone could walk in to take the test, and this is a way to ensure that those are actually the students that should be there. And from a campus management perspective, lots of different things you can do. I won't go through the whole list because I think we've already probably overwhelmed everyone with information. One really important aspect that we didn't talk about, which is now fully available, is the ability to detect vaping and smoking with a sensor that can be installed in the bathroom and that does not have a camera in it, because you cannot put cameras in bathrooms, but that can be combined with the video of people walking into or out of the bathroom, so we know who was in the bathroom, potentially smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, or vaping, as well as the ability to detect bullying. Bullying often takes place inside the bathroom. You know, kids will gang up against each other, start yelling, start screaming, start a fight. So that's an important addition. We obviously do all these other functions, and the ability to do forensic analysis and quickly search for a person, an object, or a vehicle is critically important. So these are the things that we focus for schools in terms of the video analytics.
Great, thank you so much. Patrick, can you please tell us how AI video analytics is constantly improving and some of the things that we're doing to improve the.
Thanks for that reminder, Sarah. That's really important. One of the things I can share with you is in the last year alone, our face recognition technology has improved nearly tenfold. We are constantly improving our use cases. We provide a software update. That means that the AI, the artificial intelligence, is updated on a quarterly basis. We bring new enhanced video analytics machine learning models into the appliance that gets installed on premise in your network behind your firewall. And we sell this as a service, not as a CapEx investment. So we provide the hardware, the software, the maintenance, and 24/7 support to make this very easily installed and very consumable. And when we develop these use cases, our goal is always to make them as accurate as possible. Our goal is always 99%. So they are constantly improving and are extremely accurate by design.
Great, great. Thank you both so much. So we've reserved some time here at the end for some Q&A. So I encourage you now, if you do have any questions, to please drop those into the chat or the Q&A box. Patrick, Dr. Porter, are there any other points that you'd like to share with our audience today before we move into the Q&A portion?
If I could, I did want to touch on vaping and vape detectors. Unfortunately, we were a little bit proactive, and we're a little bit ahead of Iveda coming to us and saying that they had vape detectors, but we've put vape detectors in all of our bathrooms, even on a small campus with a relatively, problem-free group of kids. I was told, you have an issue of vaping in the bathrooms. And I said, well, I don't doubt it, but it's very hard it can't put cameras in the bathroom. I don't know how to figure that out. Last summer, we had vape detectors put in our bathrooms, and the number of students vaping throughout the year that were caught was surprising, but also at a certain point, deterring to the students, because the vape detectors work, and in conjunction with the cameras, we would see, well, who just left the bathroom? Of course, the alerts come to us on our phone, similar to the alerts from this system, and so we're able to just get up and instantly walk over there, and we're standing there waiting as someone leaves the bathroom. So I cannot endorse vape detectors more, I in a way, I wish that we had not done it sooner, and so we could have gotten on with Iveda and their product in Claro. But I'm happy to have them, and I will say that they work and have made a big difference on our campus. As well as
Statistically, yeah, they have shown to reduce very significantly the incidence of vaping and or smoking marijuana, obviously. I think we're ready for questions. If anyone has any questions that they want to ask. And David and his team are the brain trust behind this. The lab is extremely responsive, always ahead of the curve, and providing us with new and more exciting features all the time to bring to market. Did you want to say a few words, David, perhaps?
Sure. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Dr. Porter. I think what I'd like to add is the fact in artificial intelligence when developing, to prevent any biases, it's not the technologists that create all this and hope that the public and our end users would apply it somehow. A real world example is Dr. Porter. I had the honor of meeting him through a very warm introduction. Dr. Porter, about what, six years ago or so?
6 years ago.
Yes, sir. And you talk about how the technology has evolved. It's only as good as how it's trained. It's just like a child, growing up in a home, going to school. When you work with true artificial intelligence and deep learning technology, we talk about machine learning, but putting the fancy terminology aside, it was thanks to Dr. Porter. We make assumptions on what schools might need, but it's Dr. Porter that tells me, David, it's just the garbage cans here that the kids kick around, and sometimes they just loiter around this corner and hop the fence. Things like that you don't hear. We just, a generic listening to the news, reacting to the news. But when you talk to a true practitioner, a true pro, and you listen, this is how technology is built and improved. And we here at Claro, we get a lot of opportunity to meet all kinds of customers and professionals throughout the industry. And frankly, that's what true AI is all about. You bring home the facts and you train the machine. And we're very proud to offer machine technology that's actually doing real human support, right? And that's what I wanted to add, Patrick. This, bringing it down to earth, grassroots. And it's Dr. Porter, I learned a lot from you over the years, sir. So thank you. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's nice. I mean, it is a plug, and as they say, to use the term, plug and play. But there is a bit of adjustments to be done to it. I don't want every time there's a passing period, I don't want thousands of notifications that there are weapons on campus because of the way students are walking or holding their hands or something like that. So you can adjust it, and but I am more than happy to get false positives on weapons and such, because I can instantly look at them and say, oh, I can see why that is. That kid is carrying his books like this, and it looks to the AI like he might have a weapon, or there is this thing that really could look like a weapon, but I'm instantly able to look at it and put my mind at ease and says, okay, it's just one of these students in that situation. Otherwise, I'm up and ready to go to keep our students safe. So,
to your point, one of the schools we're working with, they have a marching band and they carry these dummy rifles.
Yeah.
But those are recognized by the AI as weapons, obviously. So that's a living example of how you could get a false positive from something that isn't a real weapon, and it's actually an allowed on-campus weapon that's used by the marching band during their performances. So there's always undoubtedly better to get the alert than not to get an alert, right?
Great. Thank you all. We do have some questions coming in here, so I want to make sure we get a chance to address all of these.
Okay.
First question is, can we briefly go over how we might be able to use the search function on campus? A scenario in which that would make sense.
Yeah, using the search function is actually very, very easy. You just connect to the appliance, which is installed inside your network. So you just take your browser, connect to the appliance, log in, And then you select from a series of drop-down menus, whether you're looking for a person, an object, a vehicle. You can even look for example, I want to see everybody that's using a cell phone, or I want to see everybody that's dressed in red today, and where any camera has seen someone dressed in red. Or I'm looking for someone from UPS that came in to deliver a package that didn't check into the front office and is wandering around the campus. I want to look for a vehicle that matches certain characteristics like make, model, color. We recognize over 2,200 different kinds of vehicles. So it's very easy and it's very fast. So if you need to effect a search, someone could come to the front office and say, I lost my backpack. We can ask the system, show me all the backpacks that you see. And maybe we'll see a backpack on the ground somewhere, or sitting on top of a counter, or in a classroom if there's a camera in the classroom. So it can be used in many, many different ways.
Great. So how secure is the solution on site? Can you speak to that a little bit?
The solution is installed in the form of an appliance. An appliance is a specially built computer that has the right kinds of hardware in it to process video streams. Video streams from a typical camera can put out to 30 frames per second. That means 30 images per second. From each camera, you have 10 cameras, that's 300 images per second. So it's a specialized computer with GPUs, that's called the graphics processing unit, that does the actual looking at the images and compares against the criteria that we're looking for. Now that appliance is installed on the internal network, so it's subject to whatever security policies you might have regarding outside access. There are no open ports towards the internet that are listening for connections coming in. So there's no cybersecurity exposure by putting this appliance on your network. And it connects to your cameras and connects to your network video recorders so that you can search against live cameras, or you can search against any recording from any camera in the network video recorder. So it's a very, very secure implementation, subject, and I stress this, subject to your security policies.
Yeah, and if I could speak to that, so just the other day I had someone come over to do the most recent update on our systems, and I asked, I said, you know, unlike my IT provider who can update computers and such remotely, I said, well, can this be done remotely? He says, well, no, this resides behind your firewall, and so we come here and we do the updates and installations. So I figure if the people who develop the technology aren't able to really get at it, it's probably pretty secure, since it, but like you said, it's as secure, I guess, as our firewall that we have up, but which I think is pretty secure.
One other point is any video capture, which is going to be when an event occurs, is locally stored in the appliance. It's subject to a retention policy, which you define. So it lives there for some period of time, after which it will get destroyed. So again, we don't store personal information, and we don't have access as a provider, as the distributor, provider, installer, maintainer, whatever. We don't have access to it. It is completely within the customer's domain.
And Patrick, I'd like to also remind all is that the technology is also certified by our own Department of Homeland Security under the Safety Act. So
I should have started with that. Thank you for the reminder, David.
No
That's not
problem,
an easy
Patrick.
thing to obtain.
Yes, please carry on, sir. I just wanted to share that with those who are concerned.
The Department of Homeland Security actually looks at the way that the technology was built. It looks at all the use cases. It looks at the AI algorithms. They look at how it was trained, and they look at the effectiveness before they grant that certification. And that process is lengthy and difficult. And we were very lucky, and well, not lucky, but I think by design, David and his team in the lab did a phenomenal job, and were able to obtain that certification from Homeland Security, which makes it possible to install in public facilities, in government, local, state, and federal government facilities, and obviously in commercial and any kind of school. Could be a public school or a private school.
Great. So Patrick, how much bandwidth is needed in order to implement this technology?
That's a wonderful question. And here's the great thing. The cameras are connecting to the NVR to store the video and use a certain amount of bandwidth. We don't require any additional bandwidth. So we are going to subscribe to that RTSP stream and get the information from the same stream. So there is no additional bandwidth required unless you're bringing data from a remote camera, which requires you to carry it across the internet. But even then, if the network video recorders are at a central site, we're going to get it from there. We're not going to require any additional bandwidth. Under normal circumstances, no additional bandwidth. A regular camera uses anywhere from 5 to 10 megabits per second. That's just the standard video stream. We're not adding any more demand.
And as a consumer, I will tell you that that's exactly true. The bandwidth is always a question at a small school like ours. We've just increased our bandwidth, but it had nothing to do with the AI. The cameras, the only time we've had a bandwidth issue is when we had, as Patrick said, is a remote camera that was just using a lot, but the wired-in cameras in the system, it's negligible. So no bandwidth issues because of this for us.
Perfect. Thank you. So we, of course, we get, questions about facial recognition for students and data privacy and that sort of thing. Can you speak to how the system addresses data privacy concerns for students and staff, and how's the data stored, and what are those data retention policies?
Okay, first and foremost, when you want to recognize someone, you can take an image. You can take an image from an iPhone, from an Android phone, from a video, from a photograph, and you can upload that image to a list. You can define different lists. You might have a list of people that are undesirable. That could be the worst list. I have disgruntled employees, suspended students. Maybe you put them there just for the period of the suspension and then take them out. Simply upload the image. No personal information is attached to the image. So I'll give you an example of how we use it in our own office. We combine the image. We store the image of our employees in a good list, not in a bad list. And we use only their initials as a correlation. But we can actually use that image together with their access card on our entry door to make sure that they didn't have their card stolen. So we use two-factor authentication to unlock the door. We're recognizing their image. At the same time, we're correlating with the information from the swipe card. Now, when the information is stored in these lists, there is a retention policy that the administrator can set. By default, if you don't set a retention policy, after 6 months, they automatically expire and are purged. However, if you say by policy, only retain it for 2 weeks, at the end of 2 weeks, the images expire. You can share the images across schools. If you have multiple schools in a district, as an example, and you have someone who has shown up at more than one school, and you want to share that, you can share it amongst the appliances in order to have all of the schools be able to process that facial recognition. We comply with privacy laws in US and Europe, as we mentioned before, and we always blur anyone that is, when we recognize someone, say, Dr. Porter and I are on the same frame in front of that camera, and I'm the one that the AI says I'm the bad guy, and I'm the one recognized. Dr. Porter would be completely blurred out and not recognizable in that capture. So remember, the full-time 24-hour, 7-day-a-week capture is in the NVR. We only capture events that match what we are looking out for, like an intrusion, like a weapon, like a fall, or things of that nature. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. And kind of to yes and that, does it have any integrations with a student database, or what are some other integrations that can be implemented with the technology?
Wonderful, wonderful question, and really important question. So at the highest level, we integrate with alarm systems. We integrate with access control systems. So the example where I talked about recognizing a face and combining it with their access control card to allow access is an example of access control. But we can also integrate with any other repository through the use of open APIs. So if your system provides an open API, that could be a public database, a private database, a local database, we can integrate and we can bring data in and we can scrub the data so as to remove the personal information when we add that information to the repository. So there's a tremendous amount of capability surrounding integration. We've integrated with things like sales systems, customer response management systems, incident reporting systems, all kinds of different things using AI video analytics.
Great. So this next question is a little bit about scalability and customization. Can the system be scaled to accommodate schools of varying sizes? And does it offer customization options for specific threat detection needs or school layouts?
So first of all, from a scalability perspective, extremely scalable. We can serve small schools with as little as 10 cameras to districts of schools with as many, and I can bring to mind one that has 220 schools. So we're highly scalable. We can have a school that has 10 cameras in a single building facility or has 550 cameras in that, because no two schools are the same, no two school campuses are the same. We can do it at the campus level where there might be 3 or 4 or 5 buildings, and each building may have a few hundred or more cameras. So to give you an idea of how scalable the system is, we can go from 10 cameras to over 23,000 cameras at a single implementation at a citywide type of environment. Of course, that's way beyond the needs of a school. But to keep it in context with schools and universities that have 3,500 cameras, not an issue. Not only do we have different size appliances in order to meet those needs for a small school, a medium-sized school, a large school, but we can also cluster them together. We can put 16 huge appliances together and meet the needs of a school that might have several thousand cameras. So scalability is not an issue. I know there was a second part to the question, so can you please remind me, Sarah?
Yes, I think you've mentioned it a little bit, but does it offer any customization options for specific threat detection needs or school layouts?
Yes, absolutely. So for example, intrusion detection, I may want to be monitoring access to a side door. Parking detection, I may want to be monitoring a specific area in the view of the camera, not the entire view, but a specific area. So I'll give you an example. There's a roll-up door where trucks come to deliver material. I don't want anybody parking there. So I can define what's called a region of interest within what the camera sees. I simply draw a perimeter. Now, there might be a door there, there might not be a door there. It could be just a virtual area. I'm going to define that area and say, if anybody crosses into that defined area or region of interest, we are going to generate the alert. So I can configure regions of interest. I can configure sensitivity. For example, if I'm doing license plate recognition, I can say vehicles moving in excess of 40 miles an hour on campus. I don't want cars driving fast on campus. So I can configure the sensitivity. If I'm doing crowd detection, when do I want to consider the crowd to be excessively large, more than 50 people, more than 100 people, more than 1,000 people? Again, all of the use cases provide some form of configuration. So all of those things can be used together to tune the use cases to the specifics of what that camera is actually keeping an eye on based on your requirements and based on the layout of your area, based on your campus dynamics, based on where the cameras are, where the cameras are looking, and what the cameras are configured to be looking out for.
Great. Can you speak to a rough timeline of the logistics of installation? So, from the time of signing a contract to getting this up and running, can you speak to that a little bit?
Of course. First and foremost, it takes between 4 to 6 weeks to get hardware built and into the pipeline and built and configured and loaded with software and tested and certified. However, to preempt that, we keep a certain amount of inventory of the different types of appliances in order to be able to accelerate or reduce that lag of the 4 to 6 week supply chain constraint, because everybody wants GPUs today. AI is eating up GPUs like they're going out of style. So we can meet the requirements within a couple of weeks. Typically, we can go from contract to implementation within 2 to 3 weeks, first and foremost. Second, what's the experience like? So let's use a couple of different examples. I'm a school administrator. I have a small school. I have a 24 camera system. The appliance gets loaded with the software, loaded with the use cases that it has been licensed for, certified, tested, certified, packed, and shipped. It arrives on site. This is a user installable device. Unpack it, put it where you want it, plug it into the wall, plug it into the network. Our customer success team gets with the local administrator. Typically within a couple of hours, you're up and running. So that's a small implementation. Say I have a slightly larger implementation. I have a school with 200 cameras. Well, I'm going to have probably more than one fairly large appliance. They're going to be rack mounted. They're going to require installation. That typically takes a little bit more effort than just unpacking and putting on a shelf. So that would require some planning and logistics, but put it in the rack, power it on, connect it to the network. Same experience. Customer success gets on. You can pre-load or prepare the upload of the camera definitions. You can even do camera discovery. We have the utility that will go out and discover the cameras and add them to the system. And then you just go through the configuration exercise. So again, within a day, you can be up and running with a system that has several hundred cameras in order to support a larger facility. So it's a fairly painless and straightforward installation. And I want to highlight the fact that we have a 24/7 multilingual support center that is in Dallas that can take calls 24 hours a day in different languages to provide answers to questions, configuration questions, or to provide support if something's not working as expected, or if it needs to be modified or reviewed. No issues.
Great, thank you so much. I think we've got time for one more question. So as Dr. Porter mentioned, school safety is priceless, but can you elaborate on the cost structure of the solution? And then any other thoughts about how the system demonstrates a positive return on investment and some of the soft benefits for students and faculty?
There's like 5 questions in there.
Trying to
So first and foremost, we sell this as a solution. We do not expect the customer to make a capital investment in hardware. So even if you need to support, let's say for the sake of argument, 250 cameras using a multiplicity of use cases, what you're going to pay for is licensing at the use case level on a 3-year contract. We supply the hardware, we supply the support, we supply the maintenance. Of course, this is my Mac doing strange things. If I do this,
that was cool.
You'll see balloons come across the screen here in a moment. It's one of those Mac things, as I said. So anyway, that's just, I don't know why they do that. But anyway, as I was saying, you pay only for what you license. If you start with 50 cameras and you say, you know, I really like the solution, I'd like to add another building and another 50 cameras as an example, that may require us to add another appliance or replace the small appliance with the bigger appliance. We take care of that. The hardware is our responsibility. So we install it, support it, maintain it. If we need to upgrade it, if a new model comes out and we need to retire an older appliance and bring in a newer appliance, we take care of that. You never have to worry about the hardware or the hardware support or it becoming stale or it needing to be grown. We take care of that. So what you're really paying for at the end of the day is the solution. It is very affordable. I know that sounds like everybody says that, but I can tell you in no uncertain way that, and to use an example, we have a special promotion for small schools. A small school that has maybe a dozen cameras, and they want intrusion detection, weapons detection, fire and smoke detection, facial recognition, and video search, all 5 things on like a dozen cameras. I can tell you that we can do it for less than $600 per month. So it's very affordable. Now, that doesn't scale linearly. If I have 500 cameras, the price is going to change a little bit because we need a bigger appliances, but it's very affordable. Now, that offsets the cost of a security guard. A security guard can be pretty expensive. And I'm sure, Dr. Porter, you made this analysis probably, as many school administrators have. You can't really get much benefit from a single person because they have vacations, they have sick time. Probably need 2 people, sometimes even 3 people if you want more than 24 hours. It can get very expensive very quickly, I presume. Do you have something you might want to add there?
No, I agree with that. I mean, when you hire
Okay.
personnel and have them, the salary is one cost. Everyone who works as an administrator of school understands that beyond the salary are all of the other costs that
Right.
sometimes are at least half of what they have. So they become very expensive. And
Right.
like I said, I don't want to downplay the importance of resource officers and things like that, especially for big schools. We don't have one, but as you said, they're only one person. They've got one set of eyes. They're looking one direction. They're in one place. The beauty of the AI system is it's at every one of my cameras. They never blink. They never turn away. They're always there. And I cannot be more of a proponent for all of this. I said, sometimes people might wonder if I own stock in these things. I said, I do not. I see the benefit for us, and I can understand the benefit for these big schools, especially ones that have so much property that needs to be looked at.
To your point, this is not a replacement for a resource officer. It is an add-on that is going to increase the efficiency, increase the situational awareness, increase the safety.
Right.
So that's the way we position it, and we truly adamantly believe in it.
Great. Thank you all so much. Thank you, David Lee, for joining us today. Special thanks to you, Dr. Porter, for sharing your insights and experience with implementing the technology. And of course, thank you, Patrick, for joining as well. I've put my contact information up on the screen here. If you have any additional questions or would like any more information, please feel free to reach out to me and I will get that to you. And just a reminder, I will share some additional resources and also a link to the webinar recording with everyone that has joined today. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy days and having lunch with us. So thanks again to everyone, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.